It was a hectic day for Indian diplomats. India was hosting two high-profile leaders today, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov and US Special Envoy for Climate John Kerry. What makes this all the more crucial is the dynamics between Russia and the US. You know, they're arch enemies. Their presidents call each other names. But their top diplomats were in New Delhi at the same time. Was this a coincidence? Possibly. But we're not surprised that their schedules overlapped. That's because India has had a very busy month. The first ever Quad summit, then the visit of Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin, the Afghan Foreign Minister's India tour, and now these two leaders from Moscow and Washington. World leaders are actively engaging with India. This is turning out to be the summer of high-profile engagements. Let's look at what happened today. Sergey Lavrov and John Kerry arrived in India's national capital yesterday. Both of them are on different missions. The Russian foreign minister was here to prepare the ground for an annual summit that will be held later this year. The American, John Kerry, was meeting different stakeholders to discuss climate goals. Let's start with the Russian mission. Sergey Lavrov met India's Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. They discussed a whole lot of issues: the UN Security Council, Afghanistan, West Asia, the Gulf, Myanmar, ASEAN, space, the Indo-Pacific, and vaccine production. India and Russia vowed to deepen their defense cooperation, and they're looking for ways to expand the production of Russian weapons in India. And this is despite the threat of American sanctions. Remember, the US sanctions countries that buy Russian weapons. And India is a big buyer of Russian weapons. The latest purchase is the Russian S-400 missile defense system. The delivery is expected in December this year. Will the US sanction India? There's no clarity yet. More importantly, there's no assurance yet from Washington that Delhi will not face sanctions. As for Delhi and Moscow, they say they remain committed to strong defense ties.
Our ties, I'm sure Minister Lavrov would agree, have remained uniquely strong and steady. And the reason for that has been our consistent ability to identify and update our shared interests. We are both cognizant of the multipolar and rebalanced nature of international relations today. We both understand the importance of our relationship to global peace, security, and stability. And therefore, as foreign ministers, we work hard to deliver on that responsibility.
The other elephant in the room was China. Sergey Lavrov said that Russia is watching the border situation in Ladakh. He addressed a joint press conference with India's S. Jaishankar. He was asked a pointed question on this. Is Russia working on a military alliance with China? His answer was no. But then he went on to speak about another so-called military alliance in the region, the Quad.
In the course of the Russia-China summits, where we said that our relations are at their highest in the history, but these relations do not pursue a goal of establishing a military alliance. By the way, we've heard speculations about pro-military alliances not only regarding Russia-China relations. We also heard about such alliances allegedly being promoted such as Middle East NATO, and we also heard about Asian NATO. Today we exchanged views on this, and our Indian friends have the same position as we. We believe that this is counterproductive. We are interested in inclusive cooperation.
India's position is very clear here. It will not engage in a NATO-like military alliance with the Quad, and that is a challenge for Delhi. Striking the right balance between Russia and the Quad. Meanwhile, Lavrov has already left India and landed in Pakistan. That is his next destination, and that makes the India-Russia equation even more intriguing. We'll talk more about this in just a bit. For the moment, let's also turn to John Kerry, the US Special Envoy. He's going to be in India for 4 days, and he is not going to Pakistan. The US President, Joe Biden, has appointed Kerry as a special envoy on the climate crisis. It's a position that includes a seat on the US National Security Council. Now, this council is the principal forum for the US President to discuss national security. What does this tell you? It means that the US has put climate change at par with national security priorities. So what is Kerry doing in India? meeting representatives from the government, the private sector and NGOs. Today he met India's Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. What was the purpose? To get India to commit on climate action, to cut back on the use of fossil fuels. Now remember, India too has been at the forefront of climate action and sustainable development goals. Joe Biden has formed an alliance of like-minded countries to take this forward, and John Kerry was all praises for India. Calling India a world leader in deployment of renewable energy, Kerry said India is setting a quote-unquote very strong example for other nations. So that's how the day panned out for Sergey Lavrov and John Kerry. You may be wondering if their paths crossed. Did Lavrov meet Kerry in New Delhi? The answer is yes, they did. And they were staying in the same hotel. They met in the lobby, we are told. What did they talk about? Climate change. That's what the Russians have told the press. The Americans, on the other hand, are much more guarded about this meeting. The US Embassy in Delhi said that the leaders, and I'm quoting, ran into each other by happenstance. Believe what you will. We will not comment on the statement. We'll give you a short backstory instead. When John Kerry was the US Secretary of State in the Obama years, there was a lot of talk about the bromance between him and Lavrov. On several occasions, the leaders have exchanged gifts as well. Once Kerry had gifted Lavrov 2 potatoes from Idaho. Why? Because the Russian had mentioned them in an earlier conversation. Then Lavrov returned the favor with some tomatoes from Sochi. He'd even gifted a T-shirt to Kerry with symbols of victory. That was almost 6 years back. Now their presidents are hurling abuses at each other. But why should that stop them from a quick catch-up in New Delhi? WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.